Hello friends, welcome to Unveil Enigma again.
Friends, there have been many mysterious and weird adventures on our Earth, whose record is only in the investigation files.
And in reality, no one knows what happened there.
And everyone tries to solve that mystery from their own angle.
But actually, no theory fits that incident.
That's why that place and its related incidents remain unsolved and mysterious.
There is a place that is very mysterious and there are many incidents on it.
We are talking about a lighthouse that is very, very mysterious. So friends, without further ado, let's start and get to know that mysterious lighthouse.
A mysterious lighthouse. This lighthouse is near the Eilean Moor in Scotland.
And this place is famous for its mysterious disappearances.
A lot of abnormal incidents have been reported here.
This lighthouse is of 75 feet, which was built by David Allen Stevenson. And it was built for the Northern Lighthouse boat.
First of all, let's know what the lighthouse does. The lighthouse works to give signals to boats and ships that there are danger areas in the water. Along with that, the navigation is done by the lighthouse. This lighthouse is a tower on which there is a bright light.
This lighthouse is famous for its disappearance for workers.
The first incident came out in December 1900.
When a steamer named Arctur was passing by this lighthouse. The captain of this steamer saw that the lighthouse was not working. But according to the rules, the lighthouse should always be working.
Because on the islands, the lighthouse works like a traffic signal that indicates the ships.
Now this thing the captain conveyed to the lighthouse agency.
Because the lighthouse has workers and their maintenance through the agency.
So all the responsibility is of such agencies.
Along with that, the lighthouse's maintenance is also done through the agency.
When the agency found out about this, it was surprised. Because the agency had already allowed 3 workers to work in this lighthouse a week ago. And that lighthouse had reached.
3 people were transferred for the maintenance of this lighthouse.
Which were William MacArthur, Thomas Marshall, and James Duckett.
The lighthouse was not operational. And a relief vessel was sent for its inspection.
Whose name was Hesperus. After reaching the lighthouse, the crew saw that there was no flag on the lighthouse.
Whereas if the lighthouse is operational, there should always be a flag. In this relief vessel, the captain's name was James Harvey.
He gave signal to the keeper many times on the lighthouse.
So that he could come out and see and give some information.
That's why Captain Harvey started the flare. After which there was no response. Then for the last attempt, the captain hit the horn of the ship. But still there was no response. Finally, the captain and the crew had to land on the lighthouse's island. When they reached the lighthouse, they saw that some filled supply crates were kept outside. Whereas there should have been empty supply crates. Then Captain Harvey and a crew member started to roam on the island. There was no one except the team.
That island was completely deserted. And the water was constantly hitting the rocks. The sound of the sound was all over that island. Both the entrances to the lighthouse were closed from the inside.
After knocking for a long time, its entrances were broken. And there was no one inside. The atmosphere inside was such that both the riffles of the lamp were kept clean. Both the watches were closed. The bed sheets were kept on the beds.
Everything was as if someone had just woken up.
One chair was lying there. All these things were very strange. One question that was bothering Captain Harvey as soon as he left was that if the watch had to be broken, then there could have been one. But both the watches were broken at the same time.
Which could be a coincidence.
But this island is considered so mysterious. So it is a little difficult to believe the coincidence. There were still more ways to open in the story. There was no clue of those 3 men in the lighthouse and the island. While leaving the lighthouse, Harvey saw that there was an overcoat hanging on the door that was going out. And the other 2 were empty. Which means that one person was standing in the lighthouse. According to the rules, there should be at least one person in the lighthouse. And maybe when 2 people left the lighthouse, then one person must have stopped there. But there was the presence of one person. But there was no one there.
No one knows where these 3 people were. The search for these 3 people began on the nearby island.
The crew members had already understood that something abnormal had happened here. Now the further investigation had to be done by the Northern Lighthouse Board. Because Captain Harvey had telegrammed the missing 3 people to the Northern Lighthouse Board. Now there was an investigation in this case. This case was now given to the superintendent of the Northern Lighthouse, whose name was Robert Moorhead. Because Robert had recruited these 3 people in this agency. And he knew these 3 personally. Robert found a book in the lighthouse, which is called a logbook. A logbook is a document that the keeper has to keep in the lighthouse. In this book, everything related to the weather and the lighthouse has to be recorded. Robert found the last entry in this logbook on the evening of December 15th. After that, no entry was recorded in this book. After this entry, the absence of any entry shows that something must have happened to these 3 people. But in all these things, the previous entry cannot be ignored. That is why the previous entry was also checked. In that, Marshall wrote on December 12 that the weather is very bad. And the waves of the sea are rising very high. It seems that the waves of the island will pass through the lighthouse. He had not seen such waves in his entire life. In the logbook, he wrote about his partner James Duckett. That today he is behaving very strangely. And he is very quiet. William is also crying a lot. Reading the story of these 3 people in the logbook, it seems that the 3 people had seen their death. But on December 13th, Marshall wrote that now everything is under control. And the atmosphere has also improved since yesterday. But the waves are still rising. And it was written until December 15th that now everything is calm. But the waves are not taking the name of being calm. Whatever Marshall wrote on December 12th, Robert felt very strange. Because he knew the 3 personally. And the 3 were very strong. And they were afraid of all these things. This was very strange for Robert. Now the biggest twist that is going to come for you. You will be shocked to hear that. According to William, December 12th was a very strange weather. And the waves were rising very high. To cross-check these things, Robert found out from the ships traveling around. But the ships around did not report any such weather conditions on the nearby island. That is, everything was fine on December 12th. And neither the weather department said anything about it. According to them, there were no weather conditions or weather changes near this island. On December 12th, it was only with these 3 people. This became a big question for Robert. For you and for us. This island is named after a priest. This island is considered unlucky from the beginning. Because no one came to live here. In the beginning, a population came to live here. But they had to face many problems. And they left here overnight. And they did not know anything until today. Abnormal incidents have been noticed on this island many times. Once a ship saw a figure on this island. But it disappeared as it came closer. And then a very big incident happened. This happened with the disappearances, in which these 3 people disappeared. This island is considered unlucky from the beginning. Because such a strange weather has been felt here. Which happens only on this island. Many theories were made on this incident. And some of them were that the weather would have deteriorated again on December 15th. And 1 keeper would have stayed here. And the other 2 keepers would have left. And because the weather was not good. Maybe those 2 keepers drowned and died. How was the lighthouse closed from inside? If the lighthouse was closed from inside, then why was no